שישי לפני כולם, תוכנית הרדיו בשפה העברית, משודרת אליכם מבריסבן, אוסטרליה.
אחר הצהריים טובים אוסטרליה ובוקר טוב ישראל, אתם על שישי לפני כולם, תוכנית הרדיו בשפה העברית, משודרת אליכם מרדיו 4EB ב-98.1 FM, וגם דרך הסטרימינג באתר. I guess I'll try to move to English now for our special guest. Today it's Friday, 8th of May. That will have to be in Hebrew. כף א' באייר התשפ"ב. It's 36 days for the Omer counting. I am Shon Tamar, and for the Lag BaOmer and the Omer counting, we have Omer Zahavi here with us.
That's me, and it's 43.
43?
No, I'm kidding.
How can we be?
My counting.
Your counting.
My Omer counting.
That's hardly moves. But I'm sure it will surpass the Omer counting.
For sure.
We have a special guest, and that's why we're doing it in English. Correct me with the surname. So Raph, it's easy. Is it Manajem?
Manajem is the original Yemeni.
Menachem?
I guess. No, Manajem. It means like stargazers.
I was about to ask you that.
My ancestors chewed a lot of gut, I think. So stargazers, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw those two options and I wanted to ask you which of the two. Between the two main things that you're going to talk about is also you as a stand-up comedian, because you're actually visiting us from Melbourne, doing here a show. You had one yesterday, you have one later on today, and the next day, and the next day. 3 more shows, right?
Yeah.
All in the same spot?
All in the same spot, Brisbane Powerhouse, but tonight and Sunday are sold out, so just some tickets left on Saturday.
Wow.
Okay, so you're doing us a service, we're not doing you a service.
I'm doing you a service.
And you're doing
just such a big fan of the show, you know? The 30 seconds I've heard of it, phenomenal.
Yeah, well, you are way less than us on the media.
Oh yeah.
You hardly go on the media.
Yeah.
It was very hard to dig stuff on you.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. So we're going to talk mainly about who you are, the stand-up, and other thing in regards to your family, because you have a family. You are based originally from Brisbane, or maybe almost originally at the age of 8.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Royal Commission as well.
Yeah.
And we will not forget some dedication of a song for Mother's Day.
Yeah, so we both have the Quadrocrav.
How do we call carve in Hebrew? A battle. It's not a battle.
It's the battle of the bands. לכבוד יומם.
Yeah.
For Mother's Day, which is on Sunday. It's on Sunday. Yeah. Everybody like, what are you getting your wife for Mother's Day? Like, we don't celebrate Mother's Day. It's an Australian thing. It's not that.
Well, we do.
You're Australian now. Better get the present. Yeah.
Exactly, but I don't know because she's my wife. So what do I need to buy something for her mother? My mother is not here. I let the kids do the job, but we'll talk about it a bit later. In the meantime, you guys can go and choose one of the 4 songs. Maybe we'll talk about each of them a bit later on. The first song we're going to put is actually something that Raphael chose. And it's a song in Yemen, because you have half of you.
Yemenite.
You're Yemenite.
Yemenite.
And
it's an Israeli band.
Of 3 sisters.
Yeah, from the Arava.
Yeah. Yemeni sisters.
Yeah. And they sing in Yemenite. And you're going to talk about it a little bit later on.
Yeah, let's do it. Great song.
So let's hit it.
Yeah. שלום ותודה שחזרתם אלינו.
I just remind that we're doing this one in English. I need to remind myself.
Yeah. We'll switch. Our listeners can handle both English and Hebrew. It's just the guest that can't.
So, well, I don't know if they can handle my English. What I wanted to ask you is about that song that you chose, because I don't know much about them. I tried to see the translation, and I know that they're talking about the immigration from Yemen to Israel, and say, when will I have a house and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, my generation says that now. We can't afford houses in Australia. But it reminds me of my aunties a bit and my family over there, and
over there in Israel.
And also that it's a very distinct culture, and I think it's also a beautiful song. It takes from Deuteronomy about the prophecy of the promised land, land of wheat and barley and figs and pomegranates and olives and
Tamar.
dates.
Tamar, they say, which is Tamar, which is my surname.
Yeah. And so I remember when I read, this promised land prophecy, like why it would be so special is because it would have, figs and pomegranates and olives and dates. And I read that back and thought, that's just coals. You know what I mean? And it makes you reflect on how far we've come. Like for most of history, you would fantasize about a place that had 3 types of fruit, and that doesn't even qualify for a bush juice. Yeah. And but it makes you reflect, but also that that memory held so strong. We're going to this place, and they get there, and they're in a tent, and it's difficult, and they obviously love and feel connected to the culture, but it's different. But the story I guess I wanted to tell is that my family, they walked from Sana'a to Aden.
Yep. And are we talking grandparents,
like families, and they walk to flee. And I remember asking my uncle, why did they walk that far to? And he said, I think the flight was cheaper there, so they went from Aden. And
Yemenites, they're looking for the cheap flights.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is what I want to tell you. When I was growing up here in Brisbane, people say ignorant stuff about Jews, and I had people like throw money on the floor in front of me, and that was very difficult because I wanted to pick the money up, but I didn't want to perpetuate the stereotype, so I never picked up the money. And then when I was 18, I was going over to visit my family, and I was very excited to go to Israel because I could finally pick up money without being judged. And I remember my uncle, he said, I don't want to pick you up from the airport because I don't want to pay for parking. My Yemeni uncle, that's fine. I get into a cab. Cab sees me in the back, sees my face, and he says, where are you from? I say, I'm Australian. He goes, I see in your face, you're Yemeni, you're Temeni. I say, my father's family from Yemen. And he goes, you know what they say about the Yemen in Israel? I say, no. He goes, they're like the Jews of Israel, very cheap. And this put me in a very difficult position because, if I tipped him, that was the only way I could prove him wrong. And I didn't want to do that as a Yemeni. So, that was the whole thing. But I think
it's nice that you knew that you're supposed to tip in Israel, because in Australia you don't tip.
Yeah. Well, he really got me with the cheap Yemenis. You're going to tip me? But then... I just also reflecting on everything in the song, and a few months ago, my uncle, the Yemeni one, Itzik, he messages me about a story in Bentley in Melbourne. Someone went to go to a hairdresser and they kicked him out for being Jewish.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he messages me and he says, Rafi, I don't think it's safe in Melbourne anymore. You should come live with me in Ramat Gan. And I said, Itzik, the last time we spoke, an Iranian missile blew up the apartment block next to you. And he says, well, yeah, but at least I can get a haircut. and I think, it's a very much an attitude of the culture over there, but also it is a sad reflection somewhat on where we are now, in that, okay, we're generally safe most of the time, but just getting a haircut can be difficult at the moment. And I will talk about the Royal Commission later. But
there's a lot of discussion, for me at least, with friends who still live in Israel and whatever. Yeah. And they feel as if it's really unsafe for Jewish people outside of Israel.
Yeah.
And then you look at Israel and say, but they have the feeling as if there is safety because you have the army and you have the police and you have the way to govern yourself. But the truth is somewhere it's very gray.
The truth is that there are two kinds of safety, which is one is the physical and the other one is the mental.
Yeah.
And I think obviously here it's a bit safer physically, but mentally it was a big journey for all of us to discover what other may think of us, but let's leave that for the Royal Commission, I guess.
One line on this: the comedians. There's a few Jewish comedians who don't tell people they're Jewish, and they refer to themselves as in the attic.
Yeah,
like in the closet, like they're in the attic, like they're hiding, and it's a strange way to live when you feel like you don't want to lie to people about your background, but also you're a person. You have to get on with your day. You can't absorb hate and ignorance every second of the day. So we had here last week 2 Israeli young girls, just under 16. Yeah.
And they had 2 different approach. One was the first thing she says to people is, that she's Israeli. And the other one say, like, why that needs to be the first thing when I present myself? And first of all, I'm me as a person.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm funny, maybe I'm sad, maybe whatever. And later on, when it's the right time to tell that I'm Israeli, I will. But it's not how I want to present. I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
But it's not what represent me from the beginning.
Not the only thing that represents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to stop for a second, just because I saw your stand-up
brilliant.
YouTube. Your brilliant stand-up bit, and you know a little bit about him, but our listeners knows nothing about you, except for you born and raised in Brisbane, live in Melbourne, and your father is Yemenite. Give us a bit more about because the other side of the family is just as bad. I'm half German as well. That's why I'm allowing myself.
So my grandfather's side, on my mother's side, he's a German Jewish, and he amazing guy. He lived till he was 100, and at my age, he had already fought in World War II and started international business, had a family, and that makes me think maybe my screen time is too high, and I need to be doing a bit more. But he originally went to the UK, and they put him in an internment camp, and because he was German, and they said, you can either sit in here or join the army and fight the Nazis. And he spent his, I guess, 20s, early 30s doing that, and then eventually came out to visit his family in Adelaide, actually, and then he met my grandmother in Melbourne, and they started a family and a life in Melbourne, and I lived in Melbourne up until I was about 8, and my parents.
So you're a quarter German?
No. My grandma is also German.
He met her here, but she's originally German.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's it. And then my parents, when we were 8 years old, told us we were going to Dream World, and then we got to Brisbane, and they're like, we live here now. So that's it's a good way to trick the kids.
Well, that's how we got them.
Any advice?
That's how we got them here. We promised them that we're going to get here and we're going to take them to Dreamworld.
Exactly.
I'm struggling with a word in English here. How do you say Gilui Na'ot? Like for maybe someone to be completely honest, like to okay, but it's not the exact term. But I know your father. A lot of people here in the community know your father, Avinoam. Till now, I'm calling him Mangam. So I assume I need to correct that now everywhere. And so that you talked about the German side. Now tell us a little bit about the Yemen side.
Well, I think in the introduction, I sort of bulldozed my way to the jokes about my Yemeni side, but no, he's I've got tremendous respect for him. He moved here when he was around my age, and English is his second language. His first is yelling. It's a Middle Eastern dialect, and
I'm fluent too.
And so is my mum, actually. And
it's a Jewish dialect.
It's a different kind of yelling.
And she actually met him. She was an extra in Rambo 3. And
really?
100%.
Because it was filmed in Israel.
In the Negev originally. And she met my dad, and she said it was love at first sight, and she thought he was cute because he looked like Prince, and she showed me photos. I think he looked more like Borat. But anyway, he comes here, and he worked as a tiler, and he worked super hard and gave me and my brother and my sister a better life. And I love him very much. I make him angry a lot, but no, I got tremendous respect for him.
It's not all on you. He's a bit of an angry bird.
I just want to say that Uriel say that disclaimer would be the closest translation to Gilui Na'ot.
You play poker with him, right?
Yeah, every now and then.
I had this theory about poker, like why my father loves poker in the group so much with you guys. I think poker is a game where a group of men come together to see who is better at masking their emotions. And I think it's like a very nice whatever, but he loves it.
We play friendly. We're not.
It's a good group.
When I go there, I say to my family, I'm going to waste whatever $60.
Yeah.
It's never considering even winning. It's just come for the fun.
Your wife listens to this too, huh?
She does. And I play a bit of poker with my kids at home and stuff like that.
It's nice. Yeah.
Disclaimer, I'll try to remember that.
Just before we go into our fire quiz question that we made for our guest, I just quickly gonna do
tell us who's listening.
But can we swap that to Hebrew?
Sure.
Just because Uriel Namdar or Uriel Namdar or whatever, לכבוד יום האם אתה הקדשת שיר לאמא שלך, זה לא היה לכבוד יום האם אבל הקדשת שיר לאמא שלך, אז stay tuned. אז אוריאל מקשיב לנו, וכמובן שאילנה ומקס, ועכשיו נתחיל עם ההורים. אז יש את אבא של נעמה, גדעון! היום נעשה את זה בתימנית.
גדעון! אפשר הכל בתימנית, we can do all of it in a Yemen accent.
איזה יופי.
איזה יופי.
אז זה אבא אחד, ואז יש לנו את מרק ווייטי.
לא יודע איך עושים בתימנית, my father.
יוסי קיוויתי. וגם אמא שלי מאזינה היום, למרות שאני מניח שהיא שמעה שזה באנגלית והתייאשה. והדס מקשיבה לנו, ונוגה מקשיבה לנו, ודינה מקשיבה לנו, וגילי בהצלחה במעבר דירה היום.
נכון, שכחנו להגיד לכם למה היא לא פה, כן.
נכון, גילי עוברת היום דירה, ואינשאללה שבוע הבא אני עובר דירה, אז נראה איך זה עוד. ודפנה עברה דירה, כולם עוברים דירות.
הפסיקו לעבור דירות כבר.
וקרמל מקשיבה לנו, ושי לב מישראל, וגניה, ואני חושב שאני, וסיוון בנש, ודוד גורן,
תראה זה יופי, בדיוק
ויעל.
כשאתה אומר שאתה הולך להקריא את השמות, אז פתאום מלא קופצים, גם אני פה, כן. אז
איפה הייתם עד עכשיו? כשהם צריכים אתכם?
הם פה, הנה הם פה. הויש! יעל כותבת, הויש! כן, are you ready for this? Let's get ready.
Am I ready for this? That's a question.
You're not ready for it. So we're going to do the fire quiz question. Now, you will have some question that you feel like talking more about.
Okay.
Keep it for later.
Okay.
Here it's about like intuitive first kind of thing that comes to your mind in this point. So it's only 90 seconds.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Deep in your heart, Brisbane is still the house?
Home.
Home?
Or Melbourne.
You can say no, that's fine.
My home is my home, and it's where I live with my beautiful girlfriend, so I have to say Melbourne.
Okay. You have a first degree in international relationship from the Queensland University, UQ.
Yeah.
You specialized in peace and global conflict studies. The question is, when did you understand that it's better to be a stand-up comedian?
It was one of those things where every year you understood that you were not probably going to be the person to save the world, and but you can make a group of people laugh and feel connected.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a bit more later. A Yemen soup with meat and Hawaiian, or a schnitzel and sausage German.
I just have to say, it's a bit of a cruel show. You invite Israelis on and try to make them say something briefly. It's not natural.
No,
it's inhumane.
Then I know.
Yeah.
Torture.
Yeah.
So,
Harif.
Schnitzel or Harif? With Hawaiian you like?
I have no idea
it's
what
that bitter
means.
thing that your father put in everything. Okay. Anyway. Okay, stand-up comedian. Jim Carrey, Louis C.K., Bill Barr, or Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Awesome, me too.
What's worse, losing in the finals with Brisbane Lions, or going on stage in Yom Kippur?
I go for Essendon, so I'm just used to losing. So I'd say Yom Kippur. I once did a gig right after fasting for 25 hours, and it was tough.
Okay, so we did not manage to squeeze all the questions.
Yeah.
The reason we ask you about that particular one is because once you went to do a gig in Yom Kippur while fasting, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be fun at all. I had to eat before I came here.
Yeah.
Okay, I have more questions here.
Okay.
But I really listen. I need to be, how to say, not
conscience.
No, I want to be honest. I really admire stand-up comedians. I met, we have 1.5, I would say. I would say 2 stand-up comedians in our community right now. There is one named Lawrence. I don't know if you happen to meet him. We have Lawrence, and there is a new guy named David, I'll give you the full name. And I really want to know, because like Omer said...
Yeah.
Hey?
Dudi? Yeah.
Who's Dudi?
David?
All Davids are Dudi.
all Davids are Dudi.
Dudi. No, this guy is actually Jamaican.
Jamaican?
He feels Jewish. He thinks he has some relationship to the Jewish community.
Nice, yeah.
And he started recently with stand-up comedy. And I'm jealous. I probably not going to do that, but I admire stand-up comedians. I would love to hear how you started, how hard it is, if it was open stages.
Can you remember remember your first real gig that you went on stage in front of people?
Yeah. It was during the comedy festival, and they had just a gig out in St Kilda, and I was quite drunk with my friend Dean, and I'd written jokes before, just little stuff, and we went up to watch it, and I went up to the MC in between. He was bringing on acts, and I said, I got some jokes, can I get up? And he's like, no, you idiot, blah, 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 go sit down. And then someone came on before the headliner, and it was a girl, and she was clearly out of her mind, and she had a guitar, and she was just singing about like horrible... It was just so off-putting and disgusting. It was so bad that the MC came to me and said, tell me a joke. And I told him a joke, and he laughed. And he said, you got 3 minutes to try to turn the crowd around. And I went up in that, beautiful sweet spot where you've had just enough drinks where you're free and open, but not enough that you're...
Lose control.
Yeah.
And straight after someone that did very bad, so that's good.
And so I got up and I roasted her, and then I roasted a bunch of the other comics and got the crowd on side, and then I pulled out, had all these little from business cards from the pub that was in it that I'd just written. I'd read them out and I'd throw it behind my head. I don't remember most of those jokes, but it was amazing, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. And then COVID,
so that was spontaneous? You did not plan your head to do stand-up comedy?
It was amazing, that gig. And then the next gig I did was at St Kilda Cellars, behind a bar in St Kilda. And that also went really well. And I met a girl that night called Elaine, and things went very well with her. And I was like, stand-up comedians, it's amazing, it's whatever.
Easy, and you get the girl.
And then I bombed 5 times in a row, it was brutal. But the thing that you learn is, the great thing about comedy at the start is you meet so many wonderful, strange people who are like you, who just want to either get a rise out of people or make people happy and laugh, and they're obsessed with it, and they'll fail and they'll die and they'll go over and over again. And you meet a lot of one of my best friends in comedy, Indian Muslim guy, a Chinese guy who came over, a couple of Chinese guys, and you wouldn't meet a lot of these people. A guy used to be homeless and normally, but you'll connect over this one love and this one thing and this one pursuit. That is mental to do, because it really is a lot of failure and humiliation, but when it's good and it's great, there's
nothing like
that. It's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, I think that Muslim guy to say is also the one that brought you back to stand up a bit after 7 October. You went a bit
different Muslim guy.
Okay,
and this is the strange thing. It's and this is what I think fundamentally about people. And you talk about people are people first. They're not an identity. Mm-hmm. And part of the problem with racism, it forces you to be this big umbrella thing, which you're not. Most people are scared and running late, and sometimes have diarrhea. Like we're just, and it forces you to be this character that you're not. And by having this thing that we all share, where ultimately what we're looking for is to make people happy and maybe feel less alone in the world. That I have this crazy thing, and I'm an idiot sometimes, and maybe other people can relate to that. That overcomes these ideas about who you are, and it hasn't all been good. There's been gigs where people have told me I can't do it because I'm Jewish, and I've had discrimination, but it hasn't been consistent between a certain race or whatever. Yep. It's usually the character of the person who is willing to see you as a human, or is afraid of a social construct, and them being maybe swept up into them, or them feeling like I'm upset about this thing, and I have to try to do something, and this person is visibly associated with that, so I'm just going to target them because that's the easiest way for me to feel like I'm doing something. But yeah, I mean, I've had some really amazing friends in the Muslim community who are also comics as well.
Then you had another stage, just again a second before we start with the stand-up, something with poetry, or
I did some sort of spoken word and stuff.
Poetry slam.
Yeah, that was a different life. But I think I found that maybe I like performance and connection and whatever. But I found that everyone will clap everything with that, whereas with comedy it's a real feedback loop. If they don't like it, you're gonna feel it.
You're gonna sink.
Yeah.
Is that story that you said about getting with Tom Glinson, that you have not provision, what do you call it, that you cannot go close to his house? Was that a joke?
Yeah, it's a joke, because basically before you go into a comedy festival, they ask you for a blurb about the story, and I think there's something. The whole purpose of comedy is not to be pretentious and whatever, and so many people write all this stuff, and so the show is called The Salmon is Good, and they asked me for a brief, and I said, I went through Tom Gleason's rubbish, and this is the top 10 things I found, and I actually had to go to Tom Gleason's management to get it approved, because
really?
The comedy festival were like, we're not sure. I'm like, it's a joke, like, why do they care? And he was very comfortable. He was fine with it. So
but there is so little about you. I think you'd like to be kept to yourself. Like you hardly just now maybe started a bit with Instagram. And then that's it. The other things I can find about it is stuff that other people wrote on you, and I don't know Facebook. It's amazing for you're fairly young, 33. And everyone's hooked, and you're living the real life. You're going at 4 in the morning to write your stuff somewhere on a mountain.
Yeah. That's also a joke, but
it's also a joke.
Yeah, of course. But I think that no, I'm not an early riser. I'm also not. In the song, the Hannah Marshall song, talk about they're calm and maybe they have a tent and fall live. And I always found this funny with my father, because he comes and he works in the construction space and people want to go out camping, and my dad can just not understand why people would want to go. Like in his head, he's like, all my history and my people's history is get out of a tent and into air conditioning. Why would I want to, why are people doing this for fun? What's the
fun?
He can't understand. People explain hiking to him. He's like, hiking? We hiked from Sana'a. Like, why are you doing this for fun? It almost feels like cultural appropriation sometimes. But anyway, yes.
Here, I found the name. One was Lawrence Terrett, and one is David James, the two guys that from the community here. I went last week for Jim Carr. We bought the tickets a year earlier. Amazing, but it's one style. If I had the choice from everyone, probably wouldn't be my first, but he's coming to Australia. I cannot miss that. Personally, what interests me is the fear of stage. I think that's how we translate it to English, because I realize here I'm comfortable. The people are not in my face. I'm hiding behind the microphone, and I'm okay with what I hear and what I see later on. But every time I had to do something that is actually in front of a live crowd, and later on I looked, I said, wow, I was panicking. I either talked too fast or didn't check that I'm being heard, like even in my wedding little speech that I did, or said stupid stuff. How do you overcome it, or you just never had it? You start being drunk the first time, and then, and when people are quiet and not laughing, how do you, can you flip it?
You can flip it. It depends how bad you make the feeling in the room, but it's also that, and Jimmy Carr has some amazing stuff on, and what you can learn doing stand-up is you're never going to be perfect, and learning to be in the moment, preparation, it's a good way to learn. You have to be prepared and know your stuff, but what you do is you pick up a sixth sense, which is the comfort of the audience, and it's about, there are people who do this thing called cold reading, and they're a psychic and whatever, but it's a lot about feeling cues from people. But Seinfeld has this really good bit about, they did surveys about people's number one fear is public speaking. He's like, that means if you're at a funeral, you'd rather be in the box than doing the obituary, which is a great bit. And I think it's also that it's a skill, you learn it, you love it, but it's all about accepting failure, and that you're not going to be perfect. And it's a discovery. If you're a painter and that's your art, you have a canvas and you can see, but the only way to see if the thought you had is funny or connecting. And the other interesting thing is you can get a laugh by saying something mean, and you will feel it that you didn't like the laugh so much. But when you do a laugh that you think is bringing people to maybe a better, I don't want to be too pretentious, but like enlightenment or whatever, that feels really good. So I think it's more than just getting the laugh. It's about what are you really searching for? And a lot of the time it's connection. And
I have so many questions because, like I said, I love stand-up comedy too much. Like about lately, a lot of people do a lot of crowd work.
Yeah.
Do you do that at all?
I do a little bit, but a lot of comics you're simulating crowd work. So you can ask someone a question and
then lead it to where you planned from the beginning. Yeah.
So usually I have a flow chart of, if they say this, I go here. If they go that, I go here.
Like you asked the guys if it's racist and then what kind of racist.
Exactly,
you had answers for both ways, I guess.
Totally, absolutely. And that one that was filmed, it was the first time someone said yes. And and luckily I was driving the car with my housemate who turned to me because it was going to be filmed, that one. And he turned to me and goes, what are you going to do if someone says yes? And I'd never thought of it before, and it was only in that car ride I was like, okay, just in case I'll say this.
Listen, we can keep going and going.
We need to do a short break.
Uriel, that one is for you.
Yeah, that one is for you.
יקרה יהודית, תזכי לבריאות וחיים ארוכים. אני רוצה לאחל לך את השיר צלצולי פעמונים בביצוע של אהובה עוזרי, זיכרונה לברכה, מהבן האוהב של אוריאל.
צלצולי פעמונים בתוך ליבי מהדהדים, עליהם הדרך בי פוגש, ליבי הומה ומתרגש, עוד איני כאן למענך, דמותך הולכת ומתרחקת, כאן אני אל מול ביתך, דמותך הולכת ומתרחקת, כאן אני אל מול ביתך. עיניי זלגו דמעות של אושר.
טוב, the other thing that we can talk about, a second before we talk about the Royal Commission, Raph, is if you want to say
about your shows again?
About your shows exactly. You said that the next two are sold out, and it's an hour show.
It's an hour show,
It's a full show.
Yeah, this is an hour show, Yeah,
but this one has music and commercials, and so in total it's 40 minutes.
So, and you said that only for Sunday, maybe in the Powerhouse. Any chance you'll have Sunday? Sorry, you'll have any link that we can put for friends?
So last night sold out, Friday sold out, Sunday sold out. There's only tickets on Saturday. It was nominated for an award in the Melbourne Comedy Festival, which is
what do you do the 2 minutes before the show, 5 minutes before the show?
What do I do?
Sit in the back and do breathing or laughing with friends. What was your
I usually just I don't know, say the Shema. Hope it goes well.
בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח.
I mean, I think at that point the adrenaline kicks in and you're just going over, okay, what's the first line I need to remember to say? But that's it. But so there's some tickets left on Saturday. Obviously, it'd be great if the community came out and saw it. And so that's at 7 p.m. at the Powerhouse, part of the Brisbane Comedy Festival.
Nice.
Awesome. Now I would like to talk about the Royal Commission. I have to say that it's something that you asked to talk about. So because we know about it for a while, and there are even some groups that helping people to understand what it is, but maybe for the first time we'll do a good service to our community by explaining a bit deeper.
So I just wanted to maybe start off doing my own lightning round, and I don't need a response, just in your head, or for your listeners in your head, lightning round or shilshul round or whatever you call it. But I'm just going to just ask some question and hope that the audience reflects. And so first one, have you ever hesitated to tell someone you don't know that you were Jewish? Have you ever feared the social or professional consequences of people finding out you were Jewish? In the last few years, have you ever thought, I'm glad my grandparents aren't around to see this? Have you ever avoided the city on a Sunday? Have you lied about your background? Have you seen anything in the street that makes you feel less safe about being Jewish? Have you lost a friend over the last 3 years due to their perception of you? Have you sent a message to a group, a screenshot of something concerning you've seen related towards people's views about Jews? Have you walked past offensive graffiti in the street? Have you ever regretted looking in the comment section? Have you asked why the government hasn't done more? Have you have you felt misrepresented by the media about how you felt as a Jewish person? Have you made a submission to the Royal Commission on Anti-Semitism? Have you considered making a submission? And I want people to reflect on that, because all the Royal Commission is looking for, a lot of what they're looking for is the personal experience. You don't have to be a big person in the media. Is your life different in Australia just because you were Jewish? And do you face some prejudice or intimidation? And one thing that happened after Bondi was, there was a push for the government to do this, and not just from the Jewish community, from athletes and just everyday people. And one of the big papers, who had been sort of promoting that maybe this is an idea that the government should do, they had a cartoon by Kathy Wilcox that showed people, asking for a Royal Commission, and they're drumming to the beat of Netanyahu. And it's crazy that, to me, that people, after one of the worst terror attack in Australia's history, they're just asking, how can we be more safe? That no one wants to see violence in our streets in Australia. That even just asking that, people have the perception that everything is related to overseas, and they don't understand that it's quite an absurd situation that we live in. Just getting a haircut can be stressful, and not because you're worried they're going to mess up your hair. And that is not a normal way to live, and it's not an acceptable way to live. But people's perception is that, we do all this, we complain about all this, just so something else can happen overseas, when we've chosen to live here. This is where we want to live. And, you would think that's what they would want. They would want us to not be there and be here. And unless there's an overwhelming amount of evidence of the everyday experience, the Royal Commission, which is a really good opportunity to actually force government to really listen and contend without interruption about what we go through. But we're a tiny community, and there's a much bigger community who are, keen on misunderstanding us, whether on purpose or unconsciously. And so it's really on everyone. If you have complained, if you have sent something, all you need to do is grab that and go to the Royal Commission website and just put it in. Because, if a tree falls in the wood and no one is around to hear it.
Exactly. So I also had a look once you decided that we'll talk about it. And I think what you're talking about called like a narrative vacuum. So if we don't feel our part of it, so it will be filled by something else. So we shouldn't keep this vacuum. And like you said, all of us, I think, talked among ourselves about things. And hey, we have an opportunity to say it to the outside. This Royal Commission is very fast. Like, I'm talking to the Israelis that see how long it even takes to form a commission in Israel. It's not formed just yet. This one is fast. So practically, it started. It was started in this January of this year. Yeah. The middle report is going to be already in. Or happen actually in April, and the last one is in December. So this is fairly quick.
It's 1 year from the massacre. I wanted to add a few comments from the community again. Yeah. So Sivan Menesh, regarding to your question, she said yes. And Carmel suggested that if we can put it in writing for people who don't listen, we can maybe put it in the community group. Yeah. And I wanted to say, you keep bringing the barber, the hairdresser, and I think it's discriminative for bald people. Yeah. So find
for sure. I can, yes.
They said, get out of here.
I can tell you that I have, when I arrived here, I started a group called Brisbane, and now I have stickers of Brisbane, and it's like being proud of both living in Israel and being an Israeli and living in Brisbane. And many times my wife asked me to take the sticker off the car, and I told her if we'll get to the point where we take the sticker off the car, we better not live here anymore, and my story is that I moved from Israel actually first to Europe, to Italy, and it was in between 2000 2005, and I saw how badly the situation was there already then. And when I came here, I felt like, I don't know if you remember, around 2005 or 6, there was a situation where some people bugged some girls in Bondi Beach, and the Aussies, I don't know if it was the bikers or whatever, they stood up for them, and I felt, I got to the right place. People that fight for the Aussie identity, I like it.
But I don't want to fall into this
political,
this depthness. There is always in a democracy, a open discussion, and we are a peaceful society, and I think people genuinely don't want to, engage in this stuff, but it's just about the denial of our reality, right? And the hostility.
Yep.
It doesn't match the multicultural promise of this country. And for good reason, a lot of the time we just speak to each other because it's so exhausting to try to speak to someone who denies your experience. The Royal Commission is not allowed to do it. It just has to listen and hear it. And whatever it is, big, small, you don't have to be on Bondi. It is just about, do you hesitate to tell someone? And then when you think about, why do I hesitate? I had this experience or that experience, or I read this comment, and it makes me think about how people feel about each other. And they need to understand it, and this is a rare opportunity where they can't ignore it. It will be on the record.
I have to add, just it's going to be on the record. That can affect things. We can have budget for, I'm sorry that I'm saying it, but you can have budget for more security and change the rules. It's important that we'll put it out there. And I also want to emphasize how simple it is to actually launch it. So you practically just go to Google and write Royal Commission into anti-Semitism, and then you have a big button say make a submission. Everyone can do it, not just citizen, also resident, student, traveler, anyone that got affected while being here about it. It will never affect your visa situation or process at all. You have 3 ways to submit. You can do publicly, that it's open to everyone, including with your name. There is another one, name withheld, so all the story goes but without your name. And there is confidential, that just the commission itself will see it and it won't be public. You can put from text to video to audio. It's really, really easy. And if anyone is still hesitating, we have people in the community that will guide you.
Yeah. And can also pass on some information that might make it easy and some explainers. I think I sent you some stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's mainly why I wanted to come here and just, if we don't tell our story, people will tell it for us, and it's a good chance. So yeah, sorry, that's not funny.
And also, in Israel, voting is not compulsory.
Yeah.
So, and it's a bit like, if you don't vote, don't complain. You know, so same here. If you don't launch it, this is your chance. So do it.
Well, complaining's a good part of our culture. We're good at it.
Yeah.
And so we should put it to good use. And I'm not saying it's going to change the world and solve anti-Semitism forever, but it is a painful experience to go through some of this stuff. And I wrote an article about, I had a friend say, "Oh, you don't experience anti-Semitism, do you? You don't look Jewish." And I said, "What does Jewish look like? Horns?"
Yeah.
And he laughed. He said, "No, like Seinfeld." And
it's funny how the stereotype completely changed, because back 70 years ago it was the big nose black people.
Yeah, exactly. But here's
and now
the thing,
it's the white people,
right? It's the idea that Jews are white, whatever. Seinfeld is Syrian on his mother's side, and most of us don't look like this thing. But also, just because I don't look like a stereotype, it didn't stop my synagogue being firebombed. It didn't stop my office being firebombed, and my boss, drawn horns on him in the graffiti of him outside the office. And you have these like crazy experiences, and it also makes me understand people know so little about us. They don't even know what we look like.
Yeah.
And one of the cruelties of going through anti-Semitism, and I'm a person of color, so I experience other racism, is that you go through the trauma of someone doing something to you, and then you go through the trauma of being on trial, because it always ends up, it's a false flag, the Jews were behind it, and then now you're on trial for the thing that happened to you, and it's this maddening, standard. Crazy. Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting too into it. Again, it's not funny, but I feel very passionate about this. It's why I wanted to come on the show and reach out to the community, and in your poker rooms, in your chat groups, and just say. Also, I hear it from a lot of you complaining about
But that's
don't
the thing.
Complain to me. Complain to the Royal Commission.
We complain to each other, but then in the same time we try to suppress it and continue with our lives. And to do this now, to submit it now, it's a bit like open the wounds a bit.
Yeah.
Because if something happened to me, 6 months ago, and now I need to rethink exactly what happened there, and Because first time when it came, I said, no, my wife asked anything happened to her. I said, no. And then she said, what are you talking about? There was this and this. And then suddenly it came back to me. Yeah, I did pass things because it ended up that, I never got wounded. I kind of not giving it the right seriousness.
I was the same. And then Hilit, my wife, told me I submitted about the Shavuot party last year with the protest and all of that. And I thought, even that Beitar, when the kids go on camp, the parents don't know where they go for security reasons. Which other community needs to deal with that side of thing?
Ridiculous.
It's completely crazy.
Yeah.
And the other ridiculous thing is that you guys obviously chose what we know you're going to choose for the ending song.
I have to say that I've added that song. You had 4 different songs.
And they're all, so I don't want to say better, but we put 2 Mizrahi and 2 Ashkenazi song and we pretty much knew that.
Yeah, but Arik Einstein always win. And Avner will agree with me. Arik Einstein always win. There's nothing you can do about it.
Raf, I want to say thank you very much for coming here. It was a pleasure. It was funny. You're brilliant. And I'm going straight to buy those tickets. So hopefully no one did it during the show.
Yeah.
Omer, thank you very much.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And Gili.
Am Israel Chai.
Am Israel Chai.
Shabbat Shalom, huh? Thanks for having me.